it's not as fixed as what you believe it to be. The world and the opportunities are very malleable within our own self-sovereignty of what we want to experience. Hello everybody and welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobby Richardson and I will be your guide for today. Today we're going to talk about 3D to 5D. The reason why this has been brought up is because I keep on seeing out on the social media that people are talking about, yay, Earth is now raising its level from 3D to 5D. We're all going to go from 3D to 5D. And that's not exactly right. So I wanted to record this message and let you guys know what I'm getting through from my team, the CYANIANS and the Pleiadians, and what they're talking about 3D to 5D. This is something that happens from within us, and we are individually aligning with higher frequencies by doing our work, by doing the inner work and coming back into balance of the true nature of humanity. Anything that isn't in balance will always seem like, to the soul, something's not right, something's not right. And there'll be, this is the reason why people want to leave this plane of existence and so forth, because it doesn't feel right. And even if you do go along with the status quo, you're always in this tense kind of I'm trying to do the best I can. So 3D to 5D is something that's an individual pursuit, and it's going to become a collective because there is these alignments with new energies that are coming or pelting to Earth to help awaken humanity's consciousness. But each and every one of us has a choice on whether we want to expand or stay limited still and stay stuck still. We still have choice. So really the 5D has already existed. It exists around us all the time. But as we clear ourselves, we will end up finding space to look into new opportunities, new experiences, find new gifts within ourselves, no longer hiding away from our own natural pull to expand ourselves while we are living here, through the thoughts of what happens if the rest of the world thinks I'm crazy and so forth. You start to go, it doesn't matter anymore because I'm not fitting into that society anyway, and so I might as well go over here and do what really makes me happy, because isn't it what makes us happy? That's actually aligning with 5D and up, 6D, 7D, 8D, 9D, wherever you desire to go. It's up to you and your choice on how far, how expansive you want to take this. Even if you end up aligning purely with the love of all and coming back to oneness, and then going, now from this point of view, while I'm in this body, I'm going to shift and change something on this planet because I know now how to use my own energy, my own control of my own mind, my own body, my own, connection to more, and then shift that from the inside out, bringing in whole other experiences for others that might be looking for similar, and then they go, well, she's done it, so why can't I? Literally, they're showing me in my mind somebody who's run the minute marathon, the minute mile, and then as soon as one person did it, others did it, something like that. I can't remember if it's 1 minute that they did the mile in or not, but there was a time where where someone couldn't, you know, go past a certain time threshold when they ran a race, and then they ran it, and then all of a sudden everyone started to be able to do it. 100 monkey syndrome, you know, one monkey ended up washing his potato off the dirt, found out that salt came on the potato. It tasted better when it was washed in the sea. And then the next minute on other islands, other monkeys started to do it, even though they weren't connected, because their consciousness is connected. And so humanity in their own right, but we still have choice, right? So even though our consciousness is connected, this is where that split comes in, of those that choose to stay in a limited concept of themselves, a limited world where the outside world is still controlling them, and others that aren't. So yeah, 5D already exists. It's just that we are moving our frequency up to expanding our reality. And then all of a sudden we're like, whoa, I saw an elemental. Oh my God, we're so cool, because it lived in the higher frequency, and you went for a walk through the forest and you could literally meet with it like I have. And the same with benevolent beings. Whenever, and it's not to say that life isn't going to be purely easy or anything like that. We still got our highs and our lows that constantly keep us in check of humbleness, check of whether we're gracefully moving through our life, whether we're still coming from love. I mean, sometimes when you're in the higher frequencies, you want to try to carve love down a new path, and that path is pretty intense. And so you have to go into the path of intenseness, or you know, explore that avenue, and then find out how to ground yourself in love again while you're in that experience. This is what actually they tell me a lot of this, that humanity in the whole has done this. So say, for instance, also many souls live in 5D and up, because under the 5D threshold, it was quite because it was a lot more separated from source energy. It was quite dense, quite difficult to navigate. So most of the souls resided in this more etherical, whimsical state of being in the 5D and up. But source energy wanted to see if it could ground love itself as pure love and in essence through a body in the 3D. So it started off with plant life, and then animal life, and slowly we built upon that until we come to an actual being that was created through other beings, through other ETs and so forth, of other planets and stuff, that were trying to find unity in themselves. And humanity's path was carved into an unstable scenario, so that we could say, well, in this physical world where material is very separated, and it's a very time constrained, limited perception of ourselves, where only birth to death exists, where we don't, you know, we can't jump into the future from this point of view, into the future and then into the past, unless you're in a higher frequency. So we're here in this 3D world, and humanity is learning now to ground love in this 3D world. So some of us might decide to just stay in that limited concept of that 3D world, just be grounded in that, but feel more in love and in tune with themselves. It still can give them more expansiveness into meeting other beings and so forth like that. Up to them, though, whether they want to go that far or not. See, it's not as fixed as what you believe it to be. The world and the opportunities are very malleable within our own self-sovereignty of what we want to experience. But it's almost like source energy wanted to go through the avatars of human consciousness to ground more love in a very separated world where things are extremely tangible. And then they found out through that others could control them, and they had to give their power away and all of that. And now we're going, okay, we can see through that. So we're coming back into being able to still experience 3D, because we want to expand, right? We don't want to just go, okay, we're all lifting our game up to 5D and 3D doesn't exist anymore. No, we want to, source energy wants to explore 3D as well, because we wouldn't be here otherwise. So it's like, okay, we can live in 3D and we can expand to 5D if we wish or we desire to. And we can flip in between. And it gives 5D people the chance to go into 3D. So yeah, that's a whole other story that they've been bringing up with me. But let's get back into 3D going to 5D in the retrospect of humanity or your individual self and what actually happens. So you clear your path, you end up having more different perspectives, because you're now reaching into, oh my God, it's not just this limited world of a fixed, finite, physical world. We have the energetic world coming in. Quantum physics comes in and starts, science even starts to teach us that we're the observer of our reality. And so what we observe, we create. And this intangible connection that we have through energy of collectively being able to come together. If you've ever seen the movie Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium, where he's got a magical toy shop, and if you haven't seen it, go look it up. It's a movie. It's really cool. So he's a very magical toy shop where toys will move and things happen that are magical, and the children that go into this shop can see the magic and the wonder and oh my God, excitement through it. But because he's holding this frequency of, yes, my shop is magical. But when this businessman came, an accountant that came to help him with his tax and so forth, he ended up, because he's very narrow-minded, and this is what most humans are in this 3D world, very narrow-minded, because we're only being taught to use our logical mind to be able to navigate through this world. And love and the wonder of anything can happen, any possibility can happen, doesn't exist because we've just decided whatever's tangible is the only existence. So this accountant walks in and he is surrounded by magic. Everywhere is happening, like things are moving and people are doing magical things behind him. But every time he turned around, it all stopped. Every time he turned around, the ball fell and it wasn't like levitating, or someone walked in front of and he didn't see it. This is what happens when we're in this limited conscious space in the 3D world, where we don't want to expand our reality because then we might be perceived as crazy, right? By those that are trying to keep us in this limited reality. And so we end up, every time we turn around and someone says, oh my God, I saw a UFO, and you turn around, you'll just see a star. You'll just see something. Like I literally had that on the 1st of January 2009, when I put my foot down and said, I'm going to see a UFO tonight. And then I did see a UFO, and it was so cool. Like even my sister and her husband, they saw it too, but they were really like this guy this accountant that walked into the Wonder Emporium. They did not want to see the magic behind it. And so when they looked at the sky, yes, they saw this brilliant white ball coming over. It was like a third the size of the moon, huge thing, no sound whatsoever, which was really strange, got to 3/4 of the way in the sky, and then it just popped, the light went out and this orange wiggle trail left like this. And my sister's husband did not want to see that as a UFO. My sister actually went, I have to admit, that was unusual. My sister's husband just turned around. A year later, he came up to me and said, I want to talk to you about that, because he's still trying to convince himself. It's just space junk. I'm like, I just turned around and said, whatever you feel, that's all fine. So we have this concept of what our reality has to be so that we feel safe, so that we don't have to deal with the fact that there might be other beings out there. There might be elementals out there. There might be other things that we then have to navigate. How do we navigate with those? And so we keep ourselves in this small, limited space. But when we start to do the inner work and realize how beautiful we are, that we will only match with the frequency of love and our love of ourselves, that expands us into, because we're no longer coming from fear and worry and how we're going to be able to handle and navigate. We're coming from, no, wherever I move, I'm going to move through this world from the point of myself, loving who I am, and that's my base. So 3D to 5D is more to do with the individual's self expanding themselves, and then they might be able to show someone who is ready that there is the opportunity to see elementals. There is opportunity to have an experience with ETs, with having channeling coming through, telepathy coming through. Their messages are coming from somewhere else. It's not coming from just them, or it's coming from their higher self, which is residing in a dimensional space that is, or more all-knowing, because that's more connected to their soul. So in the 5D world and up, there's a lot more, because souls can handle that. This world seems very limited. We look at Venus, no life there. Look at Mars, no life there. Look at all the other planets and our system, no life there. No life there in our limited concept of what life is, because we haven't been able to include those that reside in a faster frequency. It's just like in quantum physics, we have the spinning atom, and then all of a sudden it spins so fast, we don't even see it, doesn't exist anymore. But then it will slow down a bit and pop back into existence. Okay, it does exist. And this is why they say higher frequencies or faster frequencies, because it's actually spinning more in alignment with source energy, and energy, it takes it, like breaks up the material physical world into fast. It's just like a boiling pot where you've got liquid form that you can see boiling thing, and then it will get hotter and hotter. What happens is it disperses, it breaks away from being part of that body of water, and it ends up becoming little bits of particles floating through the air, and then all of a sudden it's part of, like, you can feel humidity or whatever, or steam, but you can't see it. So it's like our body can only handle a certain vibration until we are, when we start to lift our vibration into a higher vibration, we literally become more not see-through, where we can morph in and out of different existences, and so our body becomes lighter. It's like that, of that boiling water, but if it comes in contact with somebody that's in a very dense way of thinking, it can literally burn their mind. Like, their mind will explode. Their mind will just go, I can't handle that. It's just, I'm not even going to go there. They're bringing me to a story that the Cherokee elder has, and I hope that she doesn't mind that I share this one with you guys. But there was a situation where she was told by her guides to retrieve certain codes at the bottom of a geyser in New Zealand, and it was boiling hot and pretty near impossible, really, from a logical, limited perspective, to go into this water. She said she knew that certain people would never be able to handle it, because it'd be like that hot water burning you. You just literally, it'll blow your mind and you can't handle it. So she told, certain group, go over there, see, I'm going to do some work over here. Could you please move over there and make sure that have a chat to those people that are coming off the bus, so that they don't come over this way, because I need, a few minutes to do this work. And then there was others that were sitting around that she said, listen to me, I'm going to look like I'm doing something here that just doesn't seem, it's way out of the norm. And whether you can handle it with your mind or not, just be aware that this is going to blow, it could blow your mind. So anyway, she just jumps in with all her clothes and she gets this, whatever she needs to do. They literally saw her jump in and then jump out. And then she literally was dry when she came out. And none of this made sense. None of it made sense to the normal person, right? So she would have had to match the vibration of the burning water to be able to retrieve the codes. There was something there that she had to retrieve. And then one of the ladies that was there, her mind did, just like, this just is impossible. I'm going to put my foot in the water to check that it mustn't be very hot. And she did, and she burnt her foot. So same thing happened when she talked to me telepathically, and she held my hand and talked to me telepathically and for a whole hour. And then afterwards, my logical mind was like having trouble, struggling what this was all about, because it blows you out of the normal water of what reality is. And the realization that humans can actually do more than what we've been taught, explore more than what we've been taught is incredible. But it's also, there's that thought of losing your logical mind can be like, whoa. And then you just, you can't seem to fit into this world anymore because you're trying to figure it all out. But this is why the way that we are learning to go from 3D to 5D is to come back into balance within ourselves so that we can find our natural connection to our soul, which holds a lot more understanding of what this world can be about, expands our world, but we're coming from the love of who we are, and we're no longer listening to other people telling us we're crazy or anything like that, because we know who we are and we love the feeling of who we are. So there's this definite way of navigating through 3D to 5D to open us up to a lot more without while still standing in support of who we are, so that if someone comes up and says that we are crazy, we say no, we're not. We're just open to new perspectives, and we're seeing more magic in our world now coming in. And so we're going to be playing with that magic because we love who we are. And this is an absolutely amazing opportunity for me, my soul, and I to experience, right? Another little story that might help you understand how limited concepts or closed-minded concepts can actually show up in your outside world so that you never see the magic in the world. And this is coming into abundance and bringing in abundance as well. There was this guy who was always saying to himself that he's poor, he never gets any money never comes to him, so constantly telling himself that. So this team of videographers, whatever, wanted to do a documentary on following someone like that, and they asked, can we follow you to see what your world is all about? And that's all they told him. But what they had done was, wherever he sat, they planted $50 pretty much in plain sight of what he could, like he just had to look down, or he just have to look over there, or it was easily seen if you knew just to look for it. And throughout the day they planted these $50 notes just everywhere, and wherever he was, he never saw it. He never saw it, even if it was sitting right next to him. He never saw the money, because in his limited capacity of his understanding of what his worth was, he wouldn't be worth it. And so whether the universe showed up with it or not, he would not see it. So this is why they're wanting us to do this inner work too, so that we can see more of what the true nature of this world is and the magic of it. There's a lot more magic in this world than what we've been taught. When we get to that point of allowing those things to show up and accepting them as something just as valuable as what literally it is a mirror reflection of how we are thinking in our mind. So we're constantly saying the limited logical mind, it's all that exists. It's the one that's in charge. It's the one that tells us what's real and what's not. But it has no capacity beyond that. And then when we're bringing in our soul, which has all of the imagination and the intuition, the feeling and the understanding that we're connected in an energetic way, that reflection, when we start to pull that into ourselves, and now we're saying, okay, two sides of my self, I'm going to acknowledge my right hemisphere or my feminine hemisphere or my magical soul's hemisphere just as much as my logic. When that comes into balance and we say we've got both that we can tap into, all of a sudden your world outside of you becomes lifted into a 5D experience, because you're now accepting more expansiveness, more perception, more perspective of this world. And so it ends up showing up, but you can also accept it as part of who you are and your true nature of yourself. And that means that you will end up going out to the forest and seeing elementals or seeing beings, or having visitations or having, other wisdom pouring through you, and you don't know where it's come from. You never read it in a book, that sort of thing. Where did it come from? And you explore, and those questions that you ask make you explore even deeper and deeper and deeper into that part of yourself. So you're expanding. So yeah, there's a lot more coming in for humanity. And it's not that we're ignoring what we've learned about this physical world, what the logical mind can hold. We're expanding it, that's all. Because then we can still have hey, I want to build a house physically with my hands and build it. And that's exciting too. That's something that some people aspire to be, the hand-on physical builders of this world. But in the higher dimensions of coming from love and realizing that everything is in connection, even a tree that you chop down, there has to be an exchange of energy, of understanding. Hey, tree, I really appreciate you being a tree. Thank you so much for giving me your wood so that I could actually build my home, and that sort of thing. Or tapping into Gaia and Earth. Gaia, do you mind if I take these trees here? And of course, she's going to want to give you abundance. She wants to shelter you. She wants to help you have a beautiful home. And the more beautiful it is, the more beautiful she becomes. So we're collaborating then. We're not working against and ignoring the energy side or the connection side of our world, our existence, as well as who we are. We become part of our outside world, becomes us. And so we're an expanded being then. Wherever we walk, whatever we create, we realize comes from a love of all as being part of who we are. So yeah, I hope that this helps for you guys to understand. It's not like Earth herself is shifting into a 5D world. She already holds those higher frequencies, but she's kept, or the energy of humanity's consciousness, while they were learning all about this physical world, has been kind of kept in a limbo state of a very lower frequency where we couldn't see the magical world as well. And they did that specifically because when we started to open up our logical mind and what we could actually do through action, we started to meddle, and we didn't understand how big this was going to affect more and more and more of the other outside worlds. and energies that were residing in these higher frequencies. So we got locked down from the fifth dimension. We got locked out of all of those etheric beings in the higher frequencies that where love resided more. And so we learned to navigate through the physical world through a very imbalanced state of mind. But now we're coming back to love of self. We can now bring back that 5D world. And that's literally what my name is all about, Lana Ananahi, and this story of what the Cherokee elder said I was all about. I was going to help others to ignite them back into the 5D, 6D, 7D, whatever world they want to go into. Because once you pop out of that limited concept where the logic is the only thing that is real, you are expanding into whatever you choose to become. So then it just is, what am I comfortable with? What do I feel happy with? How far do I want to take this magic? What do I want to explore while I'm in this human body on this physical world, knowing that there's more out there to explore? So our world isn't boring, like we go on a plane and so forth. We become, have the ability to teleport. We have the ability to do all these other amazing things because our world, our body can now adjust to the different frequencies as we've learned to adjust within our mind. Because remember, our body is our soul as well as our mind, in the program that our soul has decided to come. The whole thing is our soul. It's just that there's that thread of understanding that we are all connected to our outside world as our inner world that we got severed from. And that meant that we couldn't expand past a certain limitation of what reality was, which kept us in a small bubble of existence. And we no longer saw all those that were living in the fifth dimensions. So when we do go into those higher frequencies, literally Venus itself will all of a sudden on the news, oh my God, the clouds are all dispersed, the poisonous gas is dispersed. And we're seeing life on Venus, and there is life on Venus. That sort of thing will start to happen, not because there wasn't before, but because our limited world wouldn't allow us to see it. And so now we are expanding into more love of ourselves. We're becoming more vibrationally met with those that live in the higher frequencies. So then all of a sudden, a lot more planets, Pleiades and Sirius and all of that, they all start to show more life coming towards Earth and showing up as more love of who we are. And anything that is malevolent falls away because it was only showing up the lack of love that we had, but we're stepping into that love of self. And so they all fall away as just something that is showing a reflection to somebody else that hasn't found their power within themselves. Hope this helps, guys, with the understanding of what the 3D to the 5D world is all about. It is shifting. There is new energies coming, but it is to awaken humanity's consciousness from the inside out so that we understand more. And that's the reason why I've been born. That's the whole reason why I'm here and why I'm doing these channelings. And I know that 100% now. So I'll leave it there. And don't forget, I am an intuitive counselor. I do one-on-one readings. And also watch out for any more of my videos that come up. I have just done recently a 2024 and what's coming up for 2024. So if you want to look at that, there's also messages from the Pleiadians, meditations for us to connect back to them and to start to feel into the contact with them. Yeah, until next time, guys, I love you heaps. Bye.